everyone, this is Traversian with why you should play Jak II. Now, Jak II is known as one of PlayStation's greatest hits for a reason, but I've run into a disturbing number of people who've never played it, so here's the rundown. Jak II is, you guessed it, a sequel to the PlayStation 2 game Jak and Daxter, but despite springing directly from the events of the first game, it wastes no time in changing locations, tone, stakes, and to a large degree, combat styles. It's entirely unnecessary to play the first game to understand the second, but far be it for me to tell you what to do with your free time. The story follows the titular character, Jak. Though he starts out as a bright-eyed young hero fresh from success in the first game, it takes approximately a minute and 23 seconds for his world to be turned inside out and beaten with the butt of a gun. After 2 years of torture, we get the sarcastic elf with anger issues that we'll have for the rest of the series. Personally, I approve of the change, mostly because this version actually has spoken lines and multidimensional characterization. Also, despite no longer being in the title of the game, Daxter is still Jak's constant companion. Though he's obviously the comic relief character, he doesn't feel out of place in the new, darker universe the second game takes place in. His snarky comments keep the game from getting too dark, but also don't jar the player out of the story. The story being that Jak and Daxter fell through a wormhole into a world that could not possibly be more different from the idyllic seaside village where they grew up. Jak is immediately captured and imprisoned by the tyrannical Baron of Haven City, who experiments on him in hopes of turning him into a weapon that can be used in the war between Haven and a group of semi-sentient monsters known as Metalheads. Why he thinks this is a good idea is beyond me. The game hits the ground running with post-experimentation Jak turning into a monster and almost killing Daxter. Then it hands control over to the player and instructs them to escape from prison, which is one of the most delightful ways I can think of to give a tutorial and watch inexperienced players fall to their deaths. This brings us to one of the best traits of the game. It's challenging. Your first act is to escape from prison, then immediately join the underground movement fighting the Baron. Not to free the city, but specifically so Jak can kill him. Torture did not leave him feeling charitable. On top of that, Jak and Daxter are searching for their fellow villagers, Kira and Samos, who fell through the wormhole with them so they can hopefully find a way to get back home. All while Jak struggles against the influence of the Dark Eco he was forced to absorb during his imprisonment. Fighting with the underground and searching for answers as to what led our heroes to this horrible new world throws you into all kinds of situations and fights, and the game does not go easy on you. While there's different aspects for every day of the week, the main gameplay focuses on 3 things: combat, platforming, and racing. The first 2 more than the third. You start out with a handful of melee attacks and the ability to transform into Dark Jak once you've collected enough Dark Eco, but that takes long enough to do that it's a trick to keep in your back pocket for emergencies. Firearms are introduced in this game and each one has its own specific uses, but guns and upgrades for them are only acquired at pre-established places in the story, which means your ability to advance on your own is practically non-existent. So instead of grinding and beefing up your character for a tough fight or saving your pennies to get the biggest, baddest gun, you have to go the route of hunkering down and beating your head against the challenge until you either get lucky, figure out a strategy, develop a really cheap trick, or, the most difficult option, play until you're essentially flawless at the game. The fact that Jak can only take about 4 standard hits doesn't make this easy. No regenerating health here. If you're dying, you're limited to busting crates, killing enemies, and hoping something drops a med pack, please, for the love of God. Platforming takes a similar approach, except instead of fighting, it tends to be running for your life. One of the first missions in the game limits your field of view to the tank trying to kill you and forces you to platform through a multi-level base filled with turrets while adjusting your movements to a camera you no longer control. And the races, well, the less said about the level of difficulty involved in the races, the better. Make no mistake, the game is hard, but that means every little petty victory is just that much more satisfying. Some missions are more of a headache than others, but they all allow you to unlock more information about the twists and turns of the story. Conspiracies are par for the course in a city-state locked in a war both civil and external, and everyone seems to be at least a little bit involved in everything. Even though you're in a whole new world that doesn't exactly give you the best first impression, you're invested in this sardonic cast of characters before you know it. Plus, the Baron is incredibly hateable. The game is full of challenge and personality, which makes it almost addictive and gives it an astounding replay value. I first picked it up off of Blockbuster Rack 10 years ago, and I've played it through at least once a year since. Though I will admit that actually beating the final boss took an embarrassing amount of time. If you're a time traveler or a pack rat and still have access to a PlayStation 2, you're perfectly welcome to go on a hunt for an original copy of the game. However, an HD collection does exist for the PlayStation 3, in both hard copy and as a digital download from the PlayStation Store. It's got some occasional texture glitches, but it's way more convenient and comes bundled with the first and third games. If you'd like to see where the series started, or what happens when writers get concussions and forget previously established character dynamics and plot points. That's not to say the other games in the series aren't fun in their own ways, but Jak II can absolutely be played as a standalone, and it holds up well even so many years later. If you like your games with a story focus and don't have blood pressure issues, Jak II should definitely go on your list of games to play.